Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into some pretty significant news today in the world of personal genomics. As of March 24th, 2025, 23andMe has officially filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah, this is big news.
Yeah, and if you've ever, spit in a tube and sent off your DNA to find out about your ancestry or, well, really anything to do with your genes.
Or if you're just concerned about what happens to your genetic data in general.
Exactly. Then what we're talking about today is very relevant to you.
Absolutely. We've spent some time digging through a 23andMe.pdf and also some notes dated March 25th, 2025.
Right.
And that's what we're basing this deep dive on. And, well, the aim here is to try to figure out what's important about this bankruptcy.
Right.
And what it means for you and everyone else who might have their genetic information out there.
Right. And specifically, we want to try to answer two big questions for everyone. First, how did this even happen? What were the things that led to this bankruptcy?
Right.
And second, what can you as a 23andMe user or a former user or even just someone who's interested in this actually do?
Exactly.
So, what are the steps you can take now that this has happened?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with that first one. Why did 23andMe go bankrupt?
Well, it seems like a couple of things were really putting pressure on them.
Okay.
The first thing is that it looks like the demand for those ancestry testing kits, the ones that really got them popular in the first place,
Right.
that demand has really dropped off. It kind of seems like everyone who was curious and wanted to try it.
Right. Like everyone's kind of done it already.
Yeah, maybe. They've already done it, or they're just not that interested anymore.
Right.
And then on top of that, 23andMe had that big data breach back in 2023.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Which I'm sure didn't help their reputation.
Yeah, a data breach that definitely shakes people's confidence, when you're talking about something as personal as your DNA.
Exactly.
Do we know, any specifics about that breach?
Well, the documents we have don't really go into detail.
Okay.
But what we do know is that unauthorized people got access to user profiles.
Right.
And it's possible they got their hands on sensitive information about people's ancestry and even health-related stuff linked to those accounts.
Right.
And, when a company is dealing with something as sensitive as DNA, something like that can really damage their reputation.
Totally. And so now with 23andMe maybe facing this financial instability and, potential bankruptcy, what's the main thing that people listening should be concerned about in terms of their own, genetic data?
Well, this is where things could get a little tricky. The legal experts we've looked at suggest that when a company goes bankrupt, all of its assets get looked at, to see what could be sold to pay off debts.
Right.
And in the case of 23andMe, they're saying that our genetic data, the data they've collected from all their users, could actually be seen as a really valuable asset.
Okay, so to be clear, we're saying that 23andMe could potentially sell our DNA information to someone else.
That's what these legal experts are suggesting. And yeah, think about it. Your genetic code is like this huge blueprint. It tells you way more than just your ancestry.
Right.
It has clues about your health, your predispositions, and all sorts of other really personal things. So the idea that this information could be handed over to some other company without our consent is a huge deal. It raises all sorts of privacy concerns.
Definitely. It makes you think twice about signing up for these things. So have any officials, like government officials or anyone said anything about this potential data sale?
Actually, yeah. According to what we've seen, California's Attorney General, Rob Bonta, has actually issued some advice on this, and he's pretty straightforward about it. He's suggesting that all 23andMe customers seriously think about deleting their genetic information from the platform. He's saying that's the best way to stay in control of it, given all this uncertainty.
Wow, that's pretty direct. Sounds like he's not messing around. So, okay, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, I need to take control of my data, what do you actually do?
Right.
So let's start with how you can download your raw genetic data if you want to keep a copy of it.
Okay, so if you decide you want to keep a copy of your data, it's actually pretty simple. You need to log into your 23andMe account on their website.
Right, first step, log in.
Right. Once you're logged in, look for your profile name. It's usually in the top right corner of the page. Click on it, and you'll see a drop-down menu.
Got it.
From that menu, you're going to choose the option that says Resources.
Okay, so we're at Resources. What next?
Okay. Under Resources, you should see something like Browse Raw Genotyping Data. Click on that, and then on the next page, you'll see a button that says Download, usually at the top.
Download, got it.
And that's it. Click that, and it'll start downloading your raw genetic data file. Just a heads up, that file can be pretty big, so make sure you have enough space on your computer.
Good to know. So is that the only way to get to that download option?
Actually, no. There's another way. You can go straight to your account settings. And then in your account settings, there's a section specifically for your 23andMe data. Look for a view option in there. If you click that, it should take you to your raw data and that same download button. So a couple different ways to get to the same place.
Good to know, just in case they change the website or something.
Right.
I think our notes also mentioned that 23andMe's customer care page might have more specific instructions.
Yeah, that's right. If you're having any trouble with any of this, their customer care page is a good place to check. They might have updated instructions or some tips for troubleshooting.
Perfect. Okay, so we've talked about how to download your data if you want to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what about deleting it completely from 23andMe's systems? How do you do that?
All right, so if you want to wipe your genetic data from their servers, the steps are pretty similar. You start by logging into your 23andMe account like before. Then you click on your profile name again, but this time, instead of choosing resources from the drop-down menu, you're going to select settings.
Okay, settings.
And then within your account settings, there should be a section clearly labeled 23andMe Data. That's where you'll find the options for deleting your data. They'll probably walk you through some confirmation steps just to make sure you really want to do it and understand what it means, so you don't accidentally delete everything. Make sense? Oh, and there's also a step-by-step guide you can follow. It's referenced as Turn Zero Search 11, which I think you can find on their website too.
Okay, so it sounds like the actual deleting part isn't too complicated, but there are some really important things to think about before you hit that delete button, right?
Definitely. This isn't something to take lightly, because once you delete your data, it's gone forever. There's no getting it back. Not you, and probably not even 23andMe can recover it.
Wow, so it's like way more permanent than deleting an email or something.
Exactly. So if there's even a slight chance you might want to access your genetic information in the future, maybe for medical reasons or some other research, you absolutely need to download a copy before you delete anything.
Got it. Irreversible. What other potential issues should people be aware of?
Well, one thing is that there might be some delays in processing deletion requests.
Yeah.
With the bankruptcy and everyone talking about data privacy, a lot of people are probably trying to either download or delete their data right now. So it might take them a little longer than usual to get to everyone's requests.
Makes sense. They're probably swamped. What about if someone runs into a problem, like with downloading or deleting? Can they get help?
Well, that's the thing. We've heard that some people are already having trouble and having to wait a long time to get through to 23andMe's customer support. So yeah, if you run into a technical issue or have a question, you might not get help right away.
So basically, if you're a 23andMe customer and you're worried about what might happen to your DNA information, you should act fast and either download it or delete it.
Exactly.
Don't wait around because you might run into delays or problems getting help.
Yeah, the sooner the better.
Right, it's better to be safe than sorry. Okay, so to recap, we've covered why 23andMe went bankrupt, the potential risks to your genetic data, and exactly how to download or delete that information. We've also talked about how deleting your data is permanent and that there might be delays in processing requests and getting help from customer support.
Right, we've tried to cover all the bases.
So just to be crystal clear for everyone listening, 23andMe's bankruptcy is a big deal, and it could directly affect the privacy of your genetic information. You have two main choices. You can download your data if you want to keep it, or you can delete it to make sure it's out of their hands. But whatever you decide, make sure you understand everything we've talked about today.
Being informed is key.
Now, as we wrap up, we want to leave you with something to think about. We've seen how valuable genetic data is becoming, not just for tracing your ancestry, but for understanding your health and so much more. So what does this whole situation with 23andMe tell us about the responsibility of companies that hold such sensitive information? And what can we as individuals do to protect our own data in this crazy digital world? These are important questions that go way beyond just this one company.
Absolutely. It's something we all need to think about.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.